Washington lawmakers are pushing for a $2,400 emergency payment to Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and VA recipients. And while the proposal hasn't been approved yet, it's gaining momentum fast. Designed to offset rising inflation, medical costs, and stagnant COLA increases, this one-time boost could make a real difference for those living on fixed incomes. With discussions already underway and possible distribution before the holidays, the stakes are high. But so is the risk of misinformation. Scammers are already exploiting the buzz, and confusion is spreading about how and when these funds might reach recipients. This video unpacks everything you need to know about the proposed $2,400 payment, who it's meant for, how soon it could arrive.
Backhand index pointing right. If this information helped you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're always one step ahead. We break down important updates like this clearly so you're never caught off guard. Join our community, stay informed, and take control of your financial future, starting today. Flexed Biceps Calendar.
And what's still holding it up in Congress? With support building among legislators and advocates, this financial lifeline could become reality. But the process isn't simple. We'll also cover how to avoid scams, stay informed through official sources, and prepare for what could be a critical turning point in federal aid for seniors, veterans, and disabled Americans. $2,400. That number is echoing across the country right now. For Social Security recipients, SSI beneficiaries, SSDI claimants, and veterans relying on VA benefits, it's not just another proposal. It's a potential turning point. A much-needed financial jolt at a time when fixed incomes are being slowly strangled by rising costs and economic pressure that hasn't let up. This proposal, still under discussion in Washington, is designed to provide a one-time $2,400 payment to those who need it most. Not a loan. Not a tax credit buried in paperwork. A direct deposit. Straight to the people who have been squeezed by inflation, left behind by modest COLA increases, and forced to make brutal choices about what to cut: food, medication, or heating. This isn't official yet, but it's real, and it's being taken seriously. Lawmakers who recognize the widening gap between benefits and real-world costs are the ones pushing this forward. They've seen the math. They've heard the stories. For seniors, veterans, and Americans living with disabilities, the monthly checks just don't cover what they used to. The COLA increase for next year, somewhere between 2.8% and 3%. Which sounds okay, until you realize healthcare premiums are climbing, food prices have stabilized at levels well above what they were pre-pandemic, and housing costs haven't dropped an inch. This proposal is meant to bridge that gap. A $2,400 payment could be the difference between staying above water or falling into debt. And the truth is, millions of people are already drowning. This payment could buy months of groceries, could cover a property tax bill. It could pay off medical debt, or replace an essential appliance that's been broken for too long. There are different ways this proposal might play out if it moves forward. It could be distributed as a one-time lump sum, offering immediate breathing room. Or it might be divided into smaller monthly installments to help stretch the impact across several months. Either method would be a game changer. Either method would finally acknowledge what recipients have been saying for years: fixed incomes are no longer enough. Support for this proposal is growing, both among the public and lawmakers. And that support is coming at a critical time. Seniors and disabled Americans aren't just feeling financial strain. They're bearing the brunt of a system that hasn't evolved to meet their needs. Every year the cost of living increases. And every year the COLA barely keeps up. People are told to be grateful for 2% raises when rent goes up 8%. Told to make their medication stretch. Told to budget better. It's not budgeting, it's survival. This proposal is part of a broader discussion about strengthening the social safety net. It's about more than one payment. It's about acknowledging that too many Americans on fixed incomes are stuck in a system that's outdated and underfunded. Lawmakers backing this measure are also calling for structural reforms. Better COLA calculations, more robust SSI protections, and stronger support for disabled and elderly individuals. But with the proposal still in its early stages, the process ahead won't be quick. It has to move through congressional committees, survive budget debates, and make it to a full vote. Then, if passed, it needs to be signed into law. That takes time. And during that time, the rumor mill will only grow louder, which is exactly where the scammers come in. As word spreads about the proposed $2,400 payments, so do the lies. People are already getting fake emails, robocalls, and text messages claiming they need to apply for the payment. They're being told to share their social security number or banking information to qualify. Let's be very clear, this is a scam. The government will never reach out to individuals this way. You do not need to sign up, send money, or provide personal data through unofficial channels. If and when this payment is approved, it will come the way all official payments come, directly from the government through the systems already in place. You will not need to pay to receive it. You will not be asked for your password or bank routing number over the phone. Be vigilant. Protect your information. Confirm everything with SSA.gov, VA.gov, or other official government sources. And only those sources. This proposal is happening in a broader economic context that cannot be ignored. Yes, inflation has slowed, but the damage it caused isn't gone. Prices didn't return to pre-2020 levels. They just stopped rising as quickly. For people living on $900 or $1,200 a month, that means the new normal is still unaffordable. And while some states are stepping up with supplements and rebate programs, many aren't. The $2,400 federal proposal would cut through that inequality and provide relief nationwide. It's important to understand that this proposal didn't come from nowhere. It was born out of pressure. Pressure from citizens, from advocacy groups, from veterans organizations, from seniors who refused to stay silent. That pressure is what made lawmakers act. And it's what needs to continue if this proposal is going to move forward. Because without that pressure, this will stall. That's how Washington works. Attention fades, priorities shift, and the people who need help the most get pushed to the back of the line. That can't happen this time. Not when the need is this urgent. Not when so many people are barely hanging on. If this $2,400 payment becomes law, it won't solve everything. But it will help. It will give people room to breathe. It will prevent evictions. It will keep lights on. It will allow someone to refill a prescription instead of cutting pills in half. And in a country as wealthy as this, that shouldn't even be a question. That should be the baseline. Until then, patience is critical. This won't be immediate. The government moves slowly, and the legislative process is complex. But the wheels are turning and the momentum is growing. The most important thing beneficiaries can do right now is stay informed, stay safe, and stay connected. Check your eligibility regularly through SSA.gov or VA.gov. Be cautious with unsolicited messages. Stay in touch with your local representatives. If you're part of a senior center, a disability network, or a veterans group, share what you've learned. Don't let the scammers win. Don't let misinformation spread. And don't let apathy stall the progress that's finally underway. For those who've been overlooked, this proposal represents more than money. It's a step toward recognition. A sign that the system still can respond. That lawmakers still can hear the voices of those outside the spotlight. That dignity, fairness, and stability are still worth fighting for. If you or someone you care about relies on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or VA benefits, now is the time to stay engaged. Watch official updates. Ask questions. Demand answers. And never give personal information to anyone who isn't a verified government source. The road ahead isn't easy, but the momentum is real. The proposal is on the table. The need is clear. And for millions of Americans living on fixed incomes, this payment could be the start of something better. Keep watching. Keep asking. Keep pushing. And most importantly, verify every update with the relevant departments so that you stay protected and prepared. The next few weeks and months will decide whether this $2,400 becomes more than a headline, whether it becomes the help so many have been waiting for. This proposal didn't land out of thin air. It landed because reality forced it into the conversation. You can only ignore the numbers for so long before they catch up with you. Americans living on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits have been sounding the alarm for years. The gap between what they receive and what they need to survive has grown wider with every passing year. And yet, the system keeps dragging its feet. The $2,400 proposal is one of the clearest signals yet that lawmakers are finally starting to feel the pressure. It's not just a financial number. It's a recognition that the current system isn't enough. For a retiree who worked their entire life only to now live on $1,100 a month. For a disabled veteran who gave everything to serve but can't cover basic costs in 2025 America? This isn't a bonus. It's basic dignity. And the urgency behind it is obvious. The cost of living has shifted dramatically since the pandemic. Rent hikes haven't stopped. Energy bills remain high. Prescription drugs, home care, and medical equipment still outrageously expensive. The recent COLA increases help, but they aren't even close to closing the gap. That's why this $2,400 isn't just appreciated. It's necessary. For too many, that amount could mean catching up on bills that have gone unpaid for months. For others, it could mean finally seeing a specialist they've had to put off due to cost. And for thousands of disabled Americans living alone, it could mean a safe home environment for the first time in years. It's not about luxury. It's about finally having enough to breathe. But let's be clear. This proposal is not law yet. It's under serious discussion and it's gaining traction, but nothing is guaranteed. And that's what makes the next phase so critical. Because while it's encouraging to hear about growing support in Congress, these things don't pass by magic. They pass because people don't let the conversation fade. The only way this becomes reality is if people demand it. And while the support is there, so are the obstacles. The legislative process is a maze of committees, debates, amendments, and votes. And you can bet there are lawmakers and budget hawks already lining up to slow this down. They'll talk about the deficit. They'll claim we can't afford it. But they won't talk about how we can't afford to keep ignoring millions of Americans who are living below the poverty line even while receiving federal benefits. The hypocrisy is staggering. When it's time for corporate tax breaks or bloated defense budgets, the money always seems to appear. But when it's about seniors, disabled folks, and veterans, suddenly the question is, how are we going to pay for this? That's why pressure matters. Not just outrage, but action. Lawmakers respond when constituents speak up, when their phones ring, when their inboxes are flooded, and when they realize people are paying attention. Especially now, with an election year looming, this is the time when voices matter most. And while we wait, staying informed is non-negotiable. Because scammers are already trying to take advantage of the buzz. The minute people hear about a $2,400 direct deposit, the fraudsters start dialing. They pretend to be with the SSA. They claim you need to verify your eligibility. They'll ask for your social security number, your bank account, even your Medicare details. Don't fall for it. The government does not cold call you for personal information. It doesn't send texts asking for your routing number. If and when this proposal is approved, the payment will go directly to you through the same channels you already use for your benefits. No special sign-up, no third-party website, no processing fee. The only source of truth is official government sites like SSA.gov or VA.gov. If you're unsure, verify it. Always. And even as the $2,400 proposal takes center stage, don't overlook what your state might already be doing. Some states have launched or expanded programs aimed at supporting seniors and disabled residents. Property tax rebates, energy assistance, supplemental cash payments. These programs are real, and while they may not be advertised as loudly, they are lifelines. This is where preparation meets patience. Stay alert to what's happening federally, but also check in with your local resources. Benefits counselors, state agencies, and disability advocates can provide up-to-date guidance on what's available now, not just what might be coming later. Because one of the cruelest things about our current system is how much of it relies on people knowing exactly which forms to file, which phone numbers to call, and when. Miss a deadline. We're out. Didn't hear about a rebate. It's gone. That's why knowledge. Accurate, verified knowledge is power. This $2,400 proposal is about more than relief. It's about restoring some level of fairness. After decades of paying into the system, after years of promises that the safety net would be there when it was needed, this is one small step toward delivering on that promise. It's not revolutionary. It's not generous. Just right. And it's part of a bigger conversation we need to have, one that goes beyond a one-time payment. It's about how we fund and structure Social Security going forward. How we calculate COLA. How we treat fixed-income Americans in an economy that seems designed to leave them behind. The $2,400 is a start. But what comes next? That has to be even bigger. For now, don't wait around for headlines to tell you what's happening. Go to the source. Bookmark say.gov. Check via.gov if you're a veteran. If your state offers a benefits portal or a helpline, use it. Questions. Get your paperwork in order. Stay ahead of the scammers and the confusion. Because when these payments move forward, you want to be ready, not scrambling. And speak up. Call your representative. Leave a message. Send an email. Tell them what $2,400 would mean for you or someone in your family. If you're part of a community group, a senior center, a disability network, share the details. Spread the word responsibly. Because the more this conversation grows, the more pressure builds in Washington. This proposal is not just a number. It's about dignity, fairness, and long overdue support. For seniors who gave decades to the workforce. For disabled Americans navigating a world that too often forgets them. For veterans who made sacrifices only to return to financial uncertainty. This is a step in the right direction, but only if it becomes real. So here's what you can do. Stay alert. Don't trust random phone calls or sketchy websites. Stick to official information only. SA.gov and VA.gov. Check for state-level programs that could provide help now, while federal aid is still in discussion. Don't leave money on the table because no one told you it was there. Contact your elected officials. Be loud. Be specific. Be clear about what you need and why it matters. And most importantly, talk to others. We are stronger when we're informed together. When we know our rights. When we protect one another from scams. When we help each other navigate a system that isn't easy, but can still be made to work. The $2,400 proposal may not be final, but it is possible. The support is building. And the need has never been clearer. The stakes couldn't be higher. Right now, millions of Americans are holding their breath, hoping that this $2,400 proposal isn't just another headline that fades into political noise. Because for them, this isn't political, it's personal. It's about whether they can afford groceries next month without skipping a bill. It's about whether they can replace a broken walker, refill their medications, or catch up on back rent. For far too many people on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits, life in 2025 is not just difficult, it's unsustainable. So, when news of this proposal broke, people paid attention. Because it's not just about a check, it's about finally feeling seen. Finally hearing lawmakers say, "We know you're struggling. And we're trying to help." That kind of recognition has been rare. Too rare. And let's be honest, people have heard promises before. They've heard relief is coming more times than they can count. But most of the time it never makes it through Congress. It gets buried in budget negotiations, blocked by partisan bickering, or quietly stripped from the final bill. That's why this moment matters so much. Because unlike past efforts, this proposal has momentum. It's being talked about seriously. And it's striking a nerve. Why? Because it's grounded in reality. The COLA increase for next year, likely between 2.8% and 3%, isn't bad on paper. But on paper isn't where people live. They live at the pharmacy counter, looking at rising copays. They live in apartments with $200 rent hikes. They live on fixed incomes that haven't kept up with inflation in any meaningful way. That's where this $2,400 payment could make an immediate, powerful impact. It's not a handout. It's not a windfall. It's a correction. A recognition that the system hasn't kept pace with reality. And that the people who built this country, who paid into the system, who served in the military, who worked until their bodies gave out, deserve better. Now, critics are already lining up. Some are calling it too expensive. Others say it sets a bad precedent. They love to use phrases like fiscal responsibility and budget constraints. But where were those concerns when it came time to bail out corporations? Where was the outrage when tax cuts were handed out to the wealthiest Americans? That's what makes the push for this payment so crucial. Because the people who need it most don't have lobbyists. They don't have PACs or corporate donors. All they have is their voice, and it has to be loud enough to cut through the noise. If you're receiving Social Security SSI, SSDI, or VA benefits, now is the time to pay close attention. The proposal hasn't passed yet. It's still moving through discussions in Congress. That means anything can happen. It could pass, get delayed, get modified, or be blocked entirely. But one thing is certain. Your awareness, your advocacy, and your action will shape what happens next. And while the proposal is gaining attention, so are the scams. This part is serious. Anytime money is mentioned, especially direct deposits, scammers come crawling out of the woodwork. They send emails that look official. They call pretending to be from the SSA. They promise to speed up your payment if you just provide a few details. It's all lies. Let's make this simple. The government will never ask for your personal information via email, phone, or text message. No one from Social Security or Veterans Affairs will call you asking for your Social Security number or bank account. If someone does, hang up. It's a scam. The only place to get accurate, up-to-date information is through official websites, SSA.gov or VA.gov. Bookmark them. Check them regularly. And don't trust anyone who says you need to apply or pay a fee to receive this proposed payment. If and when it's approved, it will be deposited just like your regular benefits. The reality is, the $2,400 proposal represents a shift. A shift toward acknowledging that the cost of survival has changed, and benefits need to change with it. It's not revolutionary. It's not radical. Just common sense. When people are hurting, when they've paid into a system their whole lives, the system should respond. So now it's about what happens next. This proposal is a test. A test of whether Washington will finally do the right thing for the people who rely on these benefits. A test of whether the voices of seniors, disabled individuals, and veterans will be loud enough to cut through the political noise. And a test of whether we can organize around the truth. That this money is needed, it's overdue, and it must be delivered. So stay focused. Stay smart. Don't fall for scams. Follow only official updates. Talk to people you trust. And if this proposal matters to you, speak up. Contact your representatives. Let them know that $2,400 isn't a luxury. It's a lifeline. This isn't about politics. It's about survival. And the time to act is now.